does what role do you play in the production? Does the band get together and discuss how a song's going to be illustrated, or is it just hire a video producer and let's get it done? Is it...
Unfortunately, it's kind of been hire a video producer because, like Mickey was saying before, you know, time is such a hard commodity to get a lot of, you know.
Yeah.
And we don't usually have the time to really sit down and get into detail with our videos, which is something we'd like to do more of. But unfortunately, up until now, it's all been kind of done real quickly, and we haven't had a lot to say about how it's done.
We haven't done a lot of video, really.
No. Just, you know.
Not as not as much as we'd like to.
What we usually do is we take a day and we set up in a warehouse and blow a bunch of smoke, you know, we play a couple of songs over and over again, and then that's it. That's the last we see of it until it's on TV or something. And then,
do you see that changing in the future? Because with the advent of the new technology now, the kids coming up, your younger audience being so TV oriented.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I see videos of other bands that I think are so well done that it's kind of embarrassing if we don't, you know, get into doing something equally as good.
There's now a point of comparison too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I see a lot of like really well done videos that are really not that much money is spent on either. I mean, you can do quality video for really not a whole lot of money, because the last video that we did, we really spent a lot of money on it, and we weren't real happy with the way it turned out, I don't guess, in light of the time and the money that we spent on doing it.
Some of them are like little Fellini flicks. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know if you ever saw the
mini
the
movies.
Flying Lizards, the video they did on Lightning. It was just incredible. Some of the best videos.
They're an interesting band.
Really.
You see any of the Do-Rocks videos, Ernie Facilius? I mean, real low budget video, but well done stuff.
The budget has nothing to do with
No.
it.
Really?
That's what's exciting.
It's the art, yeah.
Exactly. It's how the song lends itself to visuals.
My favorite video is that Kim Carnes one. Have you seen that? All on the Luck of the Draw?
Excellent.
That one, oh man, I have dreams about that video.
They did some kind of slow motion trick on it that just changed the time, the real time, and it had this real neat look.
Devo does some real interesting ones, and
that's our favorite.
yeah,
they really think
they do some good
visual
stuff.
sense. They really do. What about international plans? Is Starship headed? What other country have you been to as a band, as a unit, and which is the most volatile for you?
None since I've been in the band. And
you missed out on all the fun,
yeah.
Mickey. Most volatile? Well, that would have to be Germany. When we played there in 1977 and Grace got ill from like food poisoning, and everyone thinks, oh, it was alcohol, but it was really, you know, your basic food poisoning, and she couldn't perform. But we didn't know about it until just before we were supposed to go on the stage, and there were 10,000 people in the amphitheater who thought that the promoter had like advertised a show for Jefferson Starship and that we weren't even there, and felt like they were being ripped off. So
because the promoter had a past history of doing that sort of thing
too. Yeah,
too.
he had done that. Where we advertised the group, everybody would show up, and at the last minute, you know, he'd substitute a local band. So when we couldn't perform, they thought it was another deal from the promoter, and they just went nuts, and 10,000 people tore that place apart, and not knowing that we were there or that we had our equipment on the stage or anything. So Germany was definitely the most volatile, and we lost a lot of equipment.
We spoke to Def Leppard recently, and they had guns. They're a British band, if you haven't heard of them. And they're like, they had guns put to their head in Spain. And you will go on, because in Europe and a lot of these international countries, you know, riots occur and violence, major violence, if a band refuses or something comes down with a promoter, payment isn't made or whatever.
Generally, I think a lot of people in Europe are just conditioned to respond that way, because when you go down the freeway, you see these signs that have a picture of an automobile, you know, 55 kilometers an hour, a picture of a bus, 45, and then below that there's a picture of an army tank, you know, 35. The speed limit for the army tanks is on the freeway, so everybody's like ready to, you know, kick some ass.
They're ready, yeah. Really? When the shift breaks out.
Yeah, they got the tanks ready, you know, the speed limit.
But I haven't done any since I've been in the band for the last 2.5 years. It's been all, you know, just in this country, in America, but we've pretty much saturated the United States, though. You know,
I was recently in South America, and the excitement down there for American rock and roll is phenomenal. To hear Peruvian radio, Spanish disc jockeys introducing Led Zeppelin, you know.
I heard that Queen had quite a successful tour down there and made a tremendous amount of money, but
the biggest tour, 150,000 people.
They had a little trouble getting their money out of some of the countries, though, I think. You know, I mean, you know, it's a very revolutionary-oriented scene down there, though. So it's kind of exciting, though.
So if you got on the road, it'd be like maybe Japan, South America. I mean, it seems that the Starship, with its past tradition, I mean, it's already got, you know, the tickets would already be sold just at the notice that you guys were coming in.
It's another thing about time, though. We just never seem to have the time to get over there. Because after a tour in the United States, we got to write and rehearse and record, and you know, there's only 12 months in the year, and it's kind of like.
Modern Times has been out since the beginning of this tour now.
Yeah, since what, May? Is that when it came out? March. March? Has it been that long?
One of those months that start with M.
Yeah, Modern Times is, and it's been it got a tremendous amount of airplay. It's been hanging. It's still on the airplay charts and Billboard. So I think for about 30 weeks straight or something. So we've gotten some longevity out of that one.
What's the process when you get off the road and you say you've got to go write and get another album out? Do you all go to your, I mean, does the band disperse and everybody starts to write and then you turn in your songs and
Well, it starts that
more or
way.
less.
It starts that we all kind of disperse, you know, and kind of formulate our ideas individually, and then gradually we start getting together with each other and, you know, kind of come up with the ideas as a band later on. But the first process is everybody just takes off.
How is it handled, you know, and because there's since there is 7 very talented people in Starship, whereas with some bands they don't have the conflict of more material than they need. When you write a song and because of time and available space on an album, your song doesn't get on, do you get pissed off?
No.
Saved for the next album?
I mean, nobody gets angry, you know. I mean, you may be maybe a little upset that a song that you personally may have a real close personal attachment to doesn't get on the record, but it is sort of a democratic process. I mean, 7 people have to feel good about the song, and we try to arrange it so that basically the 3 major songwriters in the band are like Paul and Pete and Craig.
And Grace now.
And Grace now.
Yeah.
So we've tried in the past to, you know, distribute the songs pretty equally, you know, among the 3 major songwriters. But everybody sort of has a say in saying, okay, you know, all right, we're going to do 2 or 3 of your songs, Craig, but everybody kind of has an input as to which one of his songs they all like the best.
Yeah, and how long the guitar solo is going to
be. Right, yeah.
You're not writing quick ditties these days. You're still thinking in the solo sense.
Yeah, I love the solo, and it's funny though, because Pete actually writes most of the songs that have long guitar solos in them. But,
Is that right?
Yeah. So sometimes there's definitely a balance in the band between you know, real instrumental oriented and real vocal oriented, and we try to put it all together on the albums. And sometimes there's a little friction there. You know, I like to hear more instrumentals. No, but you know, it's just like there's a lot of influence in the band, like you said. There's 7
Yeah,
and
and then and the bottom line, really, basically, in the long run, is that it's not so much what I or Craig would prefer, but you know, what they're the people who are going to buy the record. You know, what are they going to like? What would they prefer to hear? So you know, we have to consider that. Well, you have to, really. You know, I mean, this isn't art, but you know, it should, hopefully it's art for the masses. You know? I mean, that is the point in the long run, to reach as many people as possible.
The acceptance factor's got to be there. How is being on the road different now, and each of you individually, how do you break the monotony of the road? Because everybody thinks it's so glamorous. Anybody who spent 4 days on the road minimum, I mean, knows the tedium can be.
Budweiser and Frisbee juice, and you know,
that works, I would think.
Yeah. Well, for me, Frisbee's totally the opposite of rock and roll. You know, it's just you and whoever you're tossing with, and you don't have all the loud noise, and it's kind of a centering, sort of a zen, you know, thing. It's kind of relaxing. I see the Frisbee flying around. So.
The gyro.
Then again, there's alcohol, which is equally as, you know.
I like to watch ball games. This last tour, the one that we're into now, has been during football season. So whenever I get a chance to, you know, kick back and watch a game on TV, it really. That's a great release for me. It takes me away from thinking about everything for 3 hours except watching the football game.
That's why there's no shows on Monday night.
That's right. We never play on Monday night. Monday night football, you know, I mean, we do have to get our priorities in order here.
The Miami Jets games on there?
Yeah.
We all...
It was a great game, though.
It's the last minute of the game.
It's too bad Miami lost, but it was a real good game.
Excellent
exciting game.
A lot of them have been coming right down the last couple minutes.
I loved it.
Yeah. You loved it, huh?
Well, Barbara lives in New York, you know.
Yes. Right. Well, it pissed off a lot of people, Barbara.
I bet.
Absolutely did.
But of course, you know, the Dolphins are still right in the thick of things, though. So.
They are. It's good to see. And so many people that I know are in the music business, their diversion is sports.
Really?
Simzik was a
exactly.
classic example. He's a Dolphin
fanatic. I mean, he's got a special car. You know, he goes to the ball
Mm-hmm.
games.
I know, and a lot of people. I know the athletes that I know. I know a few ball players, baseball players, basketball, football, and they all seem to find their release in music. And then a lot of musicians that I know are really into sports. So there's some kind of a connection there, somehow. Someone told me, a friend of mine told me that his theory about that is the connection between sports and music is that to do both things, you have to have a lot of like a little boy in you, sort of, you know.